Good evening, race fans. Tonight, DRL TV is proud to bring you live coverage right here from sunny Charlotte, North Carolina. This is round 3 of the DRL Cup Series playoffs. Round 1 at Las Vegas and round 2 at Richmond had no shortage of intensity and drama. But tonight, as several drivers look to avoid elimination, the drama is at an all-time high. Filling in for Ryan Branch, I am Getty Buckner. Alongside me, as always, is Martin Wenzel. It will be our pleasure to bring you all of tonight's excitement here at Charlotte Motor Speedway. After 250 miles of slick, high-banked racing, the points will be reset, and some drivers will be eliminated from championship contention. Now, Martin, as we are looking at these current point standings here, what is it that stands out to you?
How close it is. Those bottom three, I'm looking right there in that little cluster of guys, 62 to 66 points behind Anthony Burrows. Chris James, David Wellborn, Joshua Wakefield. And that's where the battle's going to be. Again, we have a small field, so you can see Dustin Musial, he's got a five point lead over Chris James. That's 5 positions, right? But they get bonus points for finishing the race. So a lot of that stuff's going to come into play. So it's going to be, we're going to be kind of guessing where these guys are, if they're going to make it. But it should, like last week, it kind of became clear where people were going to be. Eric Wolf, you can see down there, he hasn't run playoffs. He didn't want to take a spot away. Aaron James is kind of in that spot where he needs to have a good race here. He had 2 really bad races for the first 2 rounds, and I think almost at this point he needs to come out and win this race or finish second to even have a shot at sneaking past that cutoff line.
Now, as we are just about ready to start qualifying, we're going to be showing you Mr. David Wellborn's qualifying lap, who is one of those drivers right there on the cusp, as you just mentioned. What driver exiting Las Vegas, exiting Richmond, do you think has the most momentum here?
I'd say it's a toss-up between... Well, if I'm going to go with someone who's not named Burrows, it'd be Chad Presnell.
Yeah, no, Chad Presnell coming off of an impressive top 3 finish.
Yep.
He's kind of, I remember mentioning in broadcasts previous, he's kind of one of those sneaky guys. Like, he's not always, lighting it up like Burrows or even, Caden Honeycutt as of recently, or, of course, Wade Hustad. But he's always there. He's always around. At Kentucky, when he won there, that was just a perfect example of what he can do if he just is allowed to run his own race. So, yeah, it's perfectly a good example there of a driver that has great momentum. Has anyone surprised you so far in these playoffs, round 1 and round 2?
Not particularly. Basically everyone's in the same spot that they kind of came into the playoffs, kind of just driving where you expect them to be.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just looking through these top guys in the playoffs, above the cut, and no one's really surprised me yet. I'm waiting for Mike Springer. We've been waiting for him all year to go out there and get a win, but he's holding his own. I think he's pretty safe. Even if he blows an engine here on the first lap, he's probably going to make the cut, I believe, because he's got a 24-point lead over Wellborn, and we don't have that many drivers, so he should make the cut. And I think that's something you can see. I mean, we saw this last week happen to Wade Hustad. He actually got into a wreck where he piled into the barrels entering pit road because a little miscommunication with him coming down. I think he was coming into pit road and Thomas Harmon was coming out, and they kind of got into each other. And it didn't cost him anything, and so he was able to relax because he knows he's already in and he's got the points to get in. And then Anthony Burrows, he knows he's in because he got the win. He's got the points, definitely. He's got a 20-point lead over Hustad. They went into last week. I think it was a 2-point difference between those guys. So, the real battles, I mean, obviously we're going to be watching the leaders and seeing who's going to win this race. But the real battles are going to be those guys down, between 10th and, 15th. Wright, Musel, James, Wellborn, Wakefield, and then Aaron James. Aaron James has a huge uphill battle, but he's going to be driving his pants off trying to get into the next round.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely true. There with those, we're going to do our best to make sure we pay attention to those cutoff guys today. But looking at these practice times so far, and even these qualifying times, David Wellborn projected right now for top 5. A couple guys set to make their lap yet. Probably could fall down to 6th or 7th, but. We do have Chris James here. We have Caden Honeycutt here. We have plenty of contenders here. One name I don't see yet, and correct me if I'm wrong, is our defending race winner from the last time we visited Charlotte is Mr. Jonathan Schwartz. Yeah,
we're missing Schwartz and Eric Johnson. Now, Eric Johnson, I think he's still safe, but that's definitely going to put him. He's going to be in a hard spot going into the next round. He's missing a race here.
Yeah,
He's going to drop a few positions.
Yeah, heading into Dover, he'll certainly be one of the drivers there that could make it, but certainly not setting himself up for success beyond that. Because again, it won't be long before we are down, chopping these guys back down again. So certainly not showing up tonight, especially at a track that this license that iRacing has here that provides for Charlotte is free. So everybody runs Charlotte. Everybody's comfortable at Charlotte. Everyone has a lot of laps here at Charlotte. So Eric Johnson, potentially missing out on an opportunity to, maybe even get a top 5, because he's another one like Springer where we've kind of waited for him to have that breakout performance. But tonight he will have no performance as he is not here with us.
Yeah, we talked about David Wellborn. David Wellborn this week, after running the official races, he says, I'm feeling really good. I'm feeling I got a top 5 car.
Mm-hmm.
And he's qualified 7th. So we'll see what he can do with that. Starting in 7th is a good starting position. Dustin Musel right above him in 6th. And then you get into the regular suspects up in those top 5. Thomas Harmon, Mike Springer, Chad Presnell, Wade Houston, and Anthony Burrows on the pole.
Yep, and that is Mr. Burrows on the pole. As we get set to roll off here in just a minute or two, we will be bringing in one of those cutoff drivers, Mr. David Wellborn, and we'll see what he has to say. Certainly should be, feeling good after he qualified the top half of the field here, and looking good to try to come away and set himself up for, not only make the cut, but maybe put a little bit of gap on some of the other guys as they head into Dover next week. Looking at the grid here, we got Burrows and Wade on the front row. No kidding, what a surprise. Fitting here for an elimination race that our 2 leaders in the point series are starting on the front row. All right, let's go here and try to bring in Mr. David Wellborn, see what he has to say. Mr. David Wellborn, you got a copy, sir?
Yes, sir, I got you.
Well, here on DRL TV tonight live, it is an elimination race. What is your mindset heading into it tonight here at Charlotte Motor Speedway?
Smooth, baby, smooth. Just got to be smooth for the rest of the night. It's so hot out here. This track is so slick. But the good thing is I practice all week long with it being really slick at 107 and 109 degrees. But we're running 113, and these cars are going to get really slick out here.
Yeah, no, absolutely. That's something that we will certainly cover here in just a bit. But you're perfectly right there when talking about such a slick racetrack. I believe at one point it was 117 degrees. Well, here, David, best of luck to you, man, in your cutoff race here. I'm sure you'll do just fine. Just keep it clean and have a good run, bud.
I'm going to try, man. Y'all have a good broadcast.
Yeah, thanks, David. Not only is that David Wellborn, the cutoff driver, that is also David Wellborn, our broadcaster for Monday and Wednesday nights, Martin. So kind of got to root for the broadcaster here.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out what Dustin Musel disconnected, and he's gotten back on now, so he's going to drop out of that 6th position. So Wellborn's going to move into 6th, and he's going to kind of shuffle up the lines a little bit. Well, actually, John Mullins will probably slide into that 6th spot, really. Well, that's the way the lines are out there.
Yep, just about ready to take the green here at Charlotte Motor Speedway for this elimination race. I predict we might have an early caution here or two as these drivers do get adjusted to these very, very hot slick conditions. It could be the hottest track that we've had all year here. And look at the squirrely. Woohoo! Looks like Sam Niederhelm is actually already in the grass.
Yep, Sam Niederhelm.
Anthony Burrows gets a good early jump here on Wade, side by side behind him, between Chad Presnall and that red car there. I can't quite recognize.
Mike Springer. Yeah, Mike Springer in the In-N-Out Burger car.
Looking back here at that battle here, Anthony Burrows crosses the start-finish line to lead that first lap here. Behind him, Mike Springer settles in the fourth position. Harmon and John Mullins behind. John Mullins, another driver that I've known that he had a good Charlotte week on the officials, so we'll see kind of what he does.
Yeah, John Theodore and Hunter Johnson making quick work to get around David Wellborn and move up into 7th and 8th. Wellborn falling back to 9th.
Looking here at Mr. Wellborn right now, currently 9th, as Martin just mentioned. For him, he doesn't have a whole lot of pressure behind him. I feel like that's kind of the mindset that I got from him. So he's going to run his own race. We do have 167 laps here tonight, so I can't imagine he's going to be in a huge hurry to get up there and kind of get in the mess of it here.
Well, his goal, he needs to finish at least a couple positions better than Chris James, 2 points back. So finish 2 positions ahead of him, get that 5-point bonus for finishing the race, try to get the bonus point for getting no incidents. And that's something you kind of have to pay attention to, because if the other guy doesn't, that's a 2-point swing right there. You get 2 points for finishing the race with 0 incidents, leading a lap, anything like that. So you're going to see, I would not be surprised if Wellborn has the opportunity to stay out and lead a lap, him trying to stay out and lead a lap, and then going in and pitting a little bit late.
Yeah, that would help out tremendously, again, with him just right there along that cutoff. Right now we're on board with Wade Hustad as he hunts down Anthony Burrows, trying to get himself a lap letter here at some point. Teammate Chad Presnall right behind him in 3rd. Mike Springer, Thomas Harmon and company kind of falling back here as these three have separated themselves from the rest of the pack. Perhaps being a little bit more aggressive, as Wade Hustad almost took a look there inside. With these hot temperatures, Martin, I can't imagine that passing, whether it be on the inside, on the outside, is going to be very easy.
I would think passing would be easier on the outside. The hot temperatures are going to get pretty loose. And if you're trying to turn down below a guy and hang, not coast up into him, you're going to be turning that wheel a little bit harder, and you're going to turn left. There goes the back end. So I think if you get to that outside, that might be the way to go, because that inside guy then will be forced to turn the wheel hard and cut short his arc.
Yeah, absolutely. It looks like there was a little stutter there. Apologize for any technical difficulties here that are occurring here with the iRacing servers. But what we will do is we will take a quick commercial break here as these drivers are just getting kind of spread out. Actually, let's see this battle first here. Wade Hustad is looking inside. I can't imagine that Burrows is going to put up that big of a fight here right away.
Yeah, it looks like Burrows almost kind of hit the brakes a little bit there and slowed down or something. It almost looked like he hit the wall, but he didn't. Kind of hit that shadow and kind of really slowed down my eyes. Yeah, it's too early to battle going in there and burn your tires off, especially that only helps Chad Presnall if you guys are battling side by side.
Absolutely. Well, we are going to take a quick commercial break. This is the Charlotte 250 DRL TV. We are live, and we will be back momentarily.
Assist to the front bumper, and he hits him again now. Rayon Fowler into the outside wall.
He's going to pass nearly 3 cars down that front straightaway, and he's going to get them all done with. What amazing!
Lead to the inside goes Logan Cloudman is going to touch in. Pit press sideways. What a save!
Look to the outside as Cronkite goes off. De Jong into second place.
I'm going for the switchback. Oh, pinpoint driving.
It's howling down to the inside.
Trying this contact though, and wide left back down underneath, and he takes that second spot right back. Joker goes to Garrett Lowe.
Garrett Lowe should take victory with all that contact. He's going to try and make the move around the outside the parabolica. That's not going to work, but he's going to try and get the cut back here. Get the run out the parabolica. That's beautifully done there. Michael Schumann, there's a little bit of door banging as well.
The most realistic online racing sim ever made. This is iRacing. Detailed laser scan tracks, fully dynamic real world cars, and over 50 series to choose from. 6 online world championships offering over $100,000 in annual prizes. This is the original esport racing game. This is iRacing.
And we are back live. Again, apologize for some of the stuttering that we might have here. Seems to be that iRacing is proving to be a little bit difficult right here, and if this continues, I will take another quick commercial break and try to resolve this issue. But we are back here at the Charlotte 250. Wade Hustad leading. Anthony Burrows, Chad Presnell, top 3 has not changed, but back here we do have Thomas Harmon, Mike Springer, Hunter Johnson kind of battling it out here for the top 5 positions.
Yeah, Thomas Harmon, Hunter Johnson, John Mullins, and John Theodore battling there for 5th through 8th.
Getting confirmation now that there are other leagues having issues here with iRacing right now, so we'll have to fight through for now with the stuttering, because again, my PC certainly, not to toot my own horn, Martin, but my PC should have no issues pushing out the information that iRacing is giving me. So again, we will try to power through here. Hopefully this clears up. I know that's so annoying for fans. But so far, as kind of predicted, they kind of got spread out. These hot temperatures that we're dealing with tonight, that's going to allow drivers with different strategies to kind of spread out. Some people are going to be more worried about saving tires. Some people are going to be more worried about kind of pushing it a little bit early on. Some of the information here in the back, Caden Honeycutt, Chris James, they're kind of in the back. Caden Honeycutt working a black flag that he received for joining the session late. But it's only a matter of time, a caution or two, and Caden Honeycutt could be back up and with these leaders here. So don't forget that name just yet. David Wellborn still in 9th as far as one of those cutoff drivers. Chris James in 15th. And again, leading is Mr. Wade Hustad. He has led, I think, ever since about 3 or 4 laps in. Anthony Burrows kind of just trotting behind him with Chad Presnell, who looks like he's already kind of using up the high side here a little bit.
Yeah, big things for Musel and James. Those guys are near the cutoff. Currently above the cutoff line, but they are. James is 1 lap down, Musel down 2 laps. So that's good news for guys like Joshua Wakefield and David Wellborn.
Yeah, we are only lap 20 of 167, so anything could change. But it seems like right now these guys are just really kind of taking it easy here.
Yeah, again, very early in the race, only 20 laps in. I think I'm trying to think how long these guys will go on tires.
Well, they'll certainly be searching for tires well before they are searching for fuel. Yes. I do know that much.
I would guess about 30, 40 laps. Just seems to be the general point of tires in most of these races. And it looks like Chris James is going to go down another lap. Hit the wall there in front of the leader. It gets very hard. I think the hardest part of the track is really that tri-oval because you're turning. You know, the track. It's weird where you're coming out of turn 2, not as big a deal. Tri-oval's a little bit tricky, especially on older tires.
Yeah, no, coming out of 4. I mean, from experience running the NIS earlier this week, I know there was moments, especially when you're trying to complete a pass on the inside. You can have wheel spin all the way down back into turn 1. So,
well, the tricky thing about it is that you come out of 4 and you can maybe you hit 4 just fine, but then you get into the tri-oval. If you get on the gas too fast, you might spin a tire. You spin your tires. If you adjust, left and right, you're just moving that wheel a little bit, trying to get lined up. You might just suddenly just coast off, not expecting that to happen. You're thinking, oh, I'm on the straightaway, quote unquote, but it is a tri-oval, and I think it's one of the trickier ones. I mean, Charlotte, that side of the track, I like the backstretch. When I get to the backstretch, I'm like, okay, this is okay. And we've seen Sam Niederhelm looks like he had a mishap coming out of turn 2, hit the wall hard.
All right, we'll try to get back here and get a replay of that here. And there we see him.
Yeah, it looks like
coming out of the pits.
That's actually he was in the tri-oval, and it wasn't even him. It was Dustin Musel got into his rear end. So Sam Niederhelm might have been having trouble already going through the tri-oval. Was a little slow, got driven down. Got hit, went through the grass, was down in the apron, then came back up on the track here. Coming out of turn 2, hit the white line, and then just slipped right up into the outside wall. Yeah, was able to keep it up there on that outside line while everyone else passes him, but that was an unfortunate series of events for him.
Yeah, we were just watching the tail end of that as he was coming back off the apron onto the backstretch. In an attempt to try to solve these little blip issues that we're having with iRacing, we will take one more commercial break in a hope that the rest of the 140 laps that we have left could be brought to you as smoothly as possible here. So we will be taking a little bit extended of a commercial break here. This is DRL TV. We are live, and we will return shortly.
the outside wall.
He's gonna pass nearly 3 cars down that front straightaway, and he's gonna get them all done with. What amazing!
Race lead to the inside goes Logan Clapman is gonna touch in. Pit press.
saved it!
What a save!
Look to the outside, and Cronkite goes off. De Jong into second place.
Going for the switchback. Oh, pinpoint driving.
It's howling down to the inside.
I tried, there's contact though.
Wide left of the racetrack. Chris Leonard drives it back down underneath, and he takes that second spot right back. Joker goes to Garrett Lowe.
Garrett Lowe should take victory with all that contact. He's going to try and make the move around the outside the parabolica. That's not going to work, but he's going to try and get the cutback here. Get the run out the parabolica. That's beautifully done there. Michael Schumacher, there's a little bit of door banging as well.
The most realistic online racing sim ever made. This is iRacing. Detailed laser scan tracks, fully dynamic real world cars, and over 50 series to choose from. 6 online world championships offering over $100,000 in annual prizes. This is the original esport racing game. This is iRacing.
And we are back here at the Charlotte 250 again, trying to resolve issues here. From information that I've gathered from iRacing right now, it is just a server issue. Any fans that are watching this, I do appreciate you sticking around and at least trying to sort this out with us here. Certainly not the quality of presentation that you've come to expect here from DRL TV. But getting back to the thick of things here, Wade Hustad did give up his lead and has given up some time here to Anthony Burrows. Chad Presnell still in third. Mike Springer, Hunter Johnson, Thomas Harmon, John Theodore, David Wellborn. I think he's still, it shows him in 9th place here. But other than that, man, it's been tight back here for this battle for near the top 5 this whole race, while the leaders have kind of gotten strung out here. Looking here at John Theodore, another one of those championship hopefuls. He's another driver, we kind of mentioned at the top of the broadcast, Martin, drivers that you kind of wait for that breakout performance. For John Theodore, I feel like he hasn't had the breakout race, but each race he's been getting a little bit better here. Instead of running for top 12s or top 15s, he's pushing top 10s, top 5s, something that I know he wasn't doing earlier in the year. So you can see.
Well, I would say he's been doing that most of the season. That's how he got in the playoffs. Was that he's been a consistent, like 15 or better. He's always been 15 or better. Top 10 almost every race, and that's, he joined later on in the season, and that's what had got him in the playoffs, was just that consistency running top 10. And I'm actually gonna go look and see how many top 10s he has, because he did a very good job of that to work his way into the playoffs. He was on the outside looking in for quite a bit of the last quarter of that season, the regular season, just consistently showing up, finishing races and finishing top 10. That got him in, and now he's running.
And it looks like John Theodore is actually going to slide here onto pit road, lap 40 of 167. Yeah. Oh, and just as that happened,
caution comes out. Yeah, Caden Honeycutt came over the radio.
That is
what happened.
That was Caden Honeycutt here. We can see him looking at that.
Aaron James just kind of lost it there. It's like tires.
That's
all I'm talking about. It's like just a little blip. You kind of move your wheel just a little bit. The tires completely get ripped late here on a run, and that takes out Caden Honeycutt. Now, again, that Honeycutt's upset, but this doesn't hurt him because he's not in the playoffs.
That does hurt Aaron James, though.
But Aaron James, he's just had no luck this playoff run, and it looks like that's going to probably damage any chance of him getting any shot of being in that transfer position. And like he's in 15th back of the leader, and now he's going to go down at least a couple laps just coming into the pits here, if not more. John Theodore gets out of the pits, and so I think he does. What happened to John Theodore? There he is.
Now with John Theodore, if he entered pit road before the yellow came out, he could actually finish his pit stop and maybe come out and actually be our leader here. Certainly possible.
I think that's what would happen, yeah.
As we were watching pits here.
Because he was already in. He was already in pit road. So he then stopped, got the pit stop. He's going to come out, and everyone else is going to come down pit road. I think, he should be in a position to possibly at least lead a lap.
Right.
I don't know.
Well, I'm going to try.
The guys already got out.
I'm going to try to get Aaron James here on the horn. We'll see if we'll see if Aaron James has anything to say. Aaron James, you got a copy, sir?
Yeah, 10-4. You got me?
Yeah, we got you. It seemed kind of, we had a lot of tire wear there. It kind of seemed like it just broke loose. Can you kind of tell us what happened there?
Yeah, track's just real slick. Coming out of the corner there, I kind of spun him on the straight a bit, got into the outside wall, and just couldn't keep it straight. Unfortunately, got down into Caden. Hate to ruin his race.
And looking at the point standings, Aaron, that could have been the dagger in the championship hopes. Of course, we hope that you're racing throughout the rest of the season here. But as far as championship contention, that might have been it for you, buddy. Any plans for the rest of this race, or perhaps going into Dover?
Yeah, I plan to stick around the rest of the season. I'm actually surprised I made it this far. Didn't plan to make it into the playoffs, so we're happy to be here. We'll see if we can get the repairs done, maybe come back out on track for a little bit, but we're glad we made it this far.
Well, Aaron, thanks for setting the time aside and talking with us here. We look forward to seeing more of you here as the season progresses.
Hey, thanks, bud.
And that was Aaron James there. Obviously, you can... he more than excited to be in the playoffs, but of course still disappointment anytime you wreck out of a race, especially under weird, unusual circumstances. Again, this track is 115 degrees, and we've been to places like Atlanta, we've been to places like Las Vegas, where you can seriously, we've seen in these broadcasts, you can be driving down the straightaway, and all of a sudden your car just turns. Sometimes there's just nothing you can do. You certainly don't expect it. So. Unfortunate for him, especially unfortunate for Caden Honeycutt, who, as I mentioned earlier, he was he kind of put himself in a situation, Martin, where race control was forced to give him a black flag at the beginning of the race. Kind of put himself in the back of the pack, and sometimes, that's what happens.
Yeah, an update on John Theodore. He actually drove through the pits during that yellow flag. So he did not stop. He got into the pits, the yellow flag came out, he then continued, came back out, and then drove around, was not able to pit with the lead lap cars. He was receiving the message that it was closed, and so then he had to pit the next lap, and so now he's back out there, he's in 9th. I think he lost a couple positions.
So not only did he not take advantage and become a leader, he actually ends up being one of the tail end cars in the lead lap. That's not good.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm not sure why he wouldn't just pit when he was in the pit on that yellow flag. I don't know if that would have put him down a lap or whatever. In any case, he would have gotten it back because everyone else would have gone down pit road during the. I'm not sure. Don't know what the thinking was. Don't know how it would work out. Maybe it's one of those situations where unless you know exactly how it's going to work, it's kind of I don't know what I'm doing, and I can't even speak on it. I've never experienced that, and done it one way and done it the other way and see what happened.
Well, even with our connection issues, Martin, I'm still going to try to rev it up as we are getting green here. Let's see what these puppies got, hey? iRacing may try to take our connection away, but it can never take our freedom of sound, and that sounded absolutely beautiful. Now we do have a lap car of Chris James actually kind of holding up the show here. He does get out of the way, but that could cost Wade Hustad as Anthony Burrows... Oh! Chris James on the outside wall. That certainly bottled up the leaders, and we do have a caution here. And that is Caden Honeycutt once again, Martin.
Yeah, I don't know what is going on with 82. Really slow.
We're riding on board with Caden Honeycutt here, trying to see kind of what happened. He kind of saw, it looks like he kind of saw Chris James late, hits that outside wall, and just, that happens. It's once you lose control, even in any amount here, it's very, very, very hard to regain control.
He was right. He was right in the way of the leaders. I mean, Wade Hustad got up into his bumper almost, and yeah, I don't know what happened. Look, tempers are flaring. There was something that happened a little bit earlier. David Wellborn came over the radio and he was heated. I don't know, but Chris James was really slow this whole race, and he was incredibly slow on that last restart and in the way.
We were riding on board with that last lap of Chris James as he was approached by Wade Hustad and the leaders, and we would kind of watch this all the way through up until he's approached by Cade Honeycutt. Here on the exit of 4, you see Wade kind of nowhere to go, bottles up the leaders here. He is able to get out of the way. John Mullen's able to get by, he hits the wall to try to stay out of the way, and all of a sudden there's Caden Honeycutt and John Theodore, who almost became a victim just because of that poor that poor track position that he inherited from pitting under caution. So very, 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 very interesting to say the least. I do think that'll probably effectively end Chris James and Caden Honeycutt's night. That is a lot of damage by both of those cars.
Well, Chris James should be taken off the track just simply. Like, you know, in NASCAR they have that 6-minute clock, and then if you come back out on the track and you can't maintain, you know, a certain speed for 3 laps, you're out. And Kyle Larson came out and he wasn't able to maintain speed, but that 3rd lap was the final lap of queued. So it's kind of a quirky thing there, but Chris James, I do not know why Chris James is so slow. I can understand. Again, I understand some people don't feel comfortable at the track, but he was going like 140 around the track. And it's like, did he have damage? I don't know what it was. I mean, he was driving slow even from the beginning of the race, and I'm going to go back and I'm just going to try to look at his front end here. He's got a little bit of damage. I'm looking at the front end. Definitely some big damage on that right wheel well. But yeah, I mean, nothing. Came back out. He got that repaired. He came back out. He just was driving slow.
Yeah, well, I mean, I can say from experience, sometimes it's just, you know, it's wrong place, wrong time. You know, maybe him trying to get up to speed, not being comfortable with the racetrack. Either way, though, on that caution, Mike Springer was able to stay out, get that lap led because the other leaders did pit even just after a lap or two of pit stop or of green flag racing. So Mike Springer he'll do just what John Theodore did and go right back to the back here of the lead lap cars. But the battle off pit road, the battle off pit road did give Anthony Burrows the lead. Wade Hustad and Chad Presnell, who's been third basically this whole race. Thomas Harmon having a strong run, and John Mullins cracks the top 5 with Hunter Johnson and John Theodore right behind him. David Wellborn, a guy that we will keep our eye on for most of this race. He is currently in 8th, started 7th, appears to be damage-free, doing exactly what he needs to do. As we will bring up these point standings here. He's right there, and as of now, it looks like he's going to leapfrog Chris James, with Chris James being the odd man out potentially. Again, I am not a mathematician, so all these points, you know, I'm not going to be able to do live updates of all the point situations as it happens, but certainly it looks good for David Wellborn right now. He seems to be, you know, you kind of have that ability to be in control of your own destiny, which is something, you know, as we saw at the Roval, Jimmy Johnson was in control of his own destiny. Didn't play the cards exactly right. Hopefully David Wellborn learned from the champion's mistakes and is able to just kind of ride along, maybe even get a top 5 here, depending on if any of these lead cars get any damage. You know, we are lap 52 of 167, so you know, we'll see what happens as we're about to go green here, Martin.
And the whole Chris James thing, luckily for our leaders, did not cost them their races. Anthony Burrows takes off.
Anthony Burrows does take off here. Smoother restarts than we've seen previously, not nearly as much wheel spin. Looking here, Chad Presnell is kind of able to battle out with his teammate here. Maybe we'll get that run and actually get second. It might be Presnell's time to maybe give his run out here at Anthony Burrows. Thomas Harmon, Hunter Johnson, both being very aggressive as well, side by side, just behind him. Everyone is just about single file here, besides this battle here with Thomas Harmon and Hunter Johnson. As we were
also
riding out on board.
Battle between David Wright and Joshua Wakefield right in front of Caden Honeycutt. Honeycutt with that severe front end damage. And he's going to get past Joshua Wakefield along with David Wright. Oh, and they get into each other. Wakefield's going to have to go down a little bit into the apron.
We are coming back to that battle now. Mike Springer, of course, he's just right there in the middle of it as he, again, what he did, he decided to stay out and get that very valuable bonus point here. All bonus points are active up until we get to Homestead, so you might as well take advantage of it while you can, but you do run the risk of kind of being back here in the muck, as I call it.
Honeycutt is a lap down, so I was saying getting past these guys with ease, not really gaining any positions at this point.
Ooh, Springer.
Yeah, I just saw Springer hit the wall, right?
We are going to go get a quick replay of that. Watch Springer cross the start finish line. This will be on the exit of turn 2 here.
Yeah, just a little bit of a brush. Bump. Good door slam.
Yep, and he did receive a little bit of damage there, as we saw. Go back to live racing here. Certainly, any damage here, when with how aerodynamically sensitive Charlotte can be, isn't going to help. But now let's go back up here to the front, Martin. We do have these top 3 guys have been battling out very hard. It looks like Chad Presnell certainly trying to maybe cross over Burrows here on the exit of 4. Maybe get inside here, look to get him some points here for leading the lap on the next time by. I don't know if Burrows is going to give it up as easily as he did to Wade Hustad early in the race. It appears he does. Could get this run on the outside here.
Well, this is a new battle. I mean, haven't seen too much of Burrows and Presnell fighting. And as we say that, we have a caution.
Caden Honeycutt for the 3rd time. That poor man.
Yeah, Honeycutt having terrible luck. Let's see what it is.
We're in replay mode here, entering turn 1.
Sam Niederhelm just got into his rear end. Yeah, he's just coming over the radio. He's like, seriously? I got taken out again?
And we are going to go on board here. This is the nose cam of Sam Niederhelm looking at the already damaged car of 37. It appears 37 almost wanted to give him the room. Sam Niederhelm just didn't quite take the room that was given, decided to take a little bit more, Martin. And, of course, as you can imagine, that didn't end very well. And I'm going to anticipate that Caden Honeycutt is... I mean, he's already driving with some anger here and some damage, so...
Well, it looked like Honeycutt. Yeah, Honeycutt got slowed down. He got slowed down to about 150 miles per hour, whereas Niederhelm was only down to 160 when they made contact, so it was just a different braking point. And there goes the Wellborn. Wellborn's going to stay out and lead a lap, gain that extra point.
But we've seen that that did not pay off for Mike Springer, because when he got back into the back of the pack there, he kind of lost grip of what was going on and actually hit that wall and received some damage. I'm sure he's going to fix it here as we're watching most of the leaders pit. But how much is that point worth? Would you rather stay, enjoy your good field or track position, or risk it just for an extra point?
I think at this point, and if he doesn't know it, he might not have anyone telling him this, but Wellborn is probably he's gonna get in, just because James is now down 31 laps. Aaron James is out. Dustin Musial is down a lap, so he's gonna lose a few positions here. Wellborn's in a good position as long as he can finish this race and not, gain an extra point. That's gonna help him next round.
Yeah, no, and what we were talking about earlier with Eric Johnson, he's missing this race. He's still going to make the cut, but that doesn't set him up for success going into the next, elimination bracket, if you will. But Wellborn with that extra point here after he pits, maybe we'll be able to talk with Wellborn and see how his race is going. One driver that I would love to talk to, but I will not, is Caden Honeycutt, because we already know how his race is going, Martin. Not great. Not great at all. But one thing, did you notice, especially on fresh tires, Caden Honeycutt, as skilled as he is, was still able to keep up with some of the guys that, I don't know, had a front bumper still?
Well, yeah, he was making moves, and as I was saying, he wasn't gaining any positions because he is a lap down, but
right.
he was definitely going past these guys with ease.
Now,
I think he's looking for the wave round now, him and Aaron James.
And speaking of the next round here, the next race will be next Tuesday, October 9th, and it is at Dover, Delaware, the Monster Mile. We've seen some hurt feelings here tonight. I anticipate that'll continue as we enter Dover next week, which is always a fun track, but it can be treacherous, the Monster Mile there. And our next broadcast will be the finale of our Charlotte week, round 2. For Charlotte, with the Winona Road Truck Series, Jeffrey Meyer looking to continue his performance through the playoffs, as he did win round 1 at Las Vegas, his first DRL win. He actually did kind of shout out on through our DRL Discord that he guarantees that not only he, but Matt Kleinschmidt will either win the race or get a top 5. So tune in tomorrow to see if he's correct.
Yeah, the playoffs are proving, we have smaller fields. A big complaint all season by some of these drivers was the inclusion of non-points drivers in the races, and that was, causing issues for guys who were competing to get in the playoffs. Mm-hmm. Well, now we have all that's out there. The only guys that are out there now. What's the complaint that you hear? Oh, a non-playoff guy took me out, right?
Right. Well.
It's like you can't limit it to, because if we just keep limiting it to, it's suddenly we're going to have Homestead, we're going to have 4 guys racing. And that's always, that's the issue with Homestead. You got 4 guys, it's like they're racing for a win, but they got to run around how many other guys, right?
Well, I tell you what, as we're set to go green here, Martin, those top 4 guys, they've been battling it. It's not like they're taking it easy up here. We've seen battles all throughout these top 3-4 drivers. So if that's what we have at Homestead, so be it. We know that we're going to get a show regardless. The pace car pulls off.
Where a couple of these guys are going to get a good jump because Jonathan Schwartz is going to take the race. That Chad Presnall leading. I haven't seen Presnall lead in a while.
Yeah, he was able to get off pit road there. Whoa. Perhaps maybe took 2. Looking at this battle here, top 5, 2x2 again, just like it was the last restart. Chad Presnall leading the train so far, though. One thing we haven't seen a whole lot of is, besides Mike Springer and I think one other driver, not a whole lot of people slapping that outside wall, even considering it is 115 degrees here tonight on the track. Ambient temperature was somewhere around 85 degrees, also partly cloudy, also humid. And this track was resurfaced 2006, but this asphalt has taken a beating in that North Carolina weather. And, but these drivers have managed it very, very well. Again, this might be the hottest track we've seen all year, Martin.
Yeah, Hunter Johnson putting on the pressure, coming up from 10th place, started the race in 10th. And then John Theodore now up in 6th after starting in 12th. Mike Springer, though, working his way back after starting 4th. He's back up in 8th. Dropped to the back of the field after beating that lap a couple cautions ago.
Now we are on board with Hunter Johnson. You can see all the wheel play and you can hear all the throttle play on exit here, especially. Thomas Harmon gets really loose. He has to check up. That could cost Thomas Harmon 1 or more spots with John Theodore just behind him. Oh, he slides up the track. My goodness. See, we don't need more than 12 drivers out here, Martin. We still have enough excitement as it is.
Yeah, he was just trying to take that low corner, especially coming out of 4 there where he got loose originally. And just didn't ease that wheel back to the right and come out. Just tried to hang down there too long, and yeah, did that through both those corners. Not sure why he's doing that. He doesn't have a guy on his outside they have to avoid.
Now we are looking at Chad Presnall as that battle has subsided, or subsided rather. Sweet English, Getty Buckner. Looking back here to Wade Hustad, he does have a 0.2 of a second lead. Anthony Burrows just behind him. I tell you what, this team here of Wade Hustad, Chad Presnall, they came prepared here today, and you can tell because they have not been outside the top 3 all race, and to that effect neither has Anthony Burrows. But these 3 guys here have put on a clinic, as we've seen all race. That top 5 area has shuffled a lot, but with Hunter Johnson now having the advantage over Thomas Harmon, John Theodore, who has made his way back up there after that interesting yellow flag situation on pit road. John Mullins, who has maintained kind of top 5, top 7-ish area. Mike Springer battled back so far from this from that damage that he had and from that leading that lap. Behind him, a driver we haven't talked about yet, Mr. David Wright here. Currently 9th, started 11th, so kind of maintaining what he's doing here. And right behind him, finish out the top 10 here so far, is David Wellborn, who hasn't really made up that track position that he lost when he tried to garner that 1 point for leading a lap here.
It's just interesting watching these leaders because been so long. I can't remember the last time Presnell was kind of leading a race or really up front, because it's been kind of the Wade Hustad, Anthony Burrows show as of late. 16 wins between those two guys, but we forget that Chad Presnell has 2 wins of his own.
Yeah, and I do remember the last time I broadcasted, and it was with you, Martin. He had a great showing at Kentucky where he came through the field twice, and he was able to lead some laps and fend off Caden Honeycutt with that crazy last lap battle between Eric Wolf, who gambled and stayed out on old tires, ended up spinning out, and that was that was the end of the race there. But I can't remember any other situation where Brett Presnell, not only does he take the lead, but he takes the lead and runs with it, as he has now gapped Wade Hustad by 0.4 of a second. I'm sure that might actually continue to grow.
Well, yeah, towards the end of the regular season, he was doing a lot of starting at the back of the field and just fighting his way through the field, whereas now he is qualifying up front and racing around his teammate, Wade Hustad. And this week especially, now running in the lead, but last week he was also up there, finished top 3, along with Jonathan Schwartz. So a little bit getting back into the groove of actually, I think it's crunch time, so he realizes, hey, I gotta, be up in the front and not playing around working through the field. Even though the fields are smaller, spending the first 100 laps of these races working his way to the front.
Right. We were trying to watch a battle between John Mullins and Mike Springer. That has since kind of dissipated here. Hunter Johnson's still very close in tow here, just right on the coattails here of Mr. Anthony Burrows. Quick shout out to Anthony Burrows, as he is one of the representatives, one of 2 that I know of that are in the that NASCAR Excite series. Is that what it's called, Martin? With the
Ignite.
Ignite. Well, Excite, Ignite, same difference. He and Spencer Tart, they have been battling it out through that series, so huge shout out to Anthony Burrows in that.
Those are in the Legends cars right now, right?
Correct, I believe so. Again, I haven't kept up with it nearly as much as I should. But
pictures, I think. I was like, those are in the old Legends cars. It's been a while since I drove those. A long time ago.
Right. No, it has been a while for me as well. But looking
Definitely
here
a different beast.
Well, I mean, Anthony Burrows, he can come out here in the highest powered car that they have for ovals and dominate, and then he can go out in those little legend cars that have probably somewhere between 300 and 400 horsepower and also dominate with a much different wheelbase. I mean, everything's different on those. But he's coming out here, he's going out there, good showings all around. He and Spencer Tart both. Spencer Tart, one of our championship contenders in the Winona Road Truck Series that we will watch tomorrow. Oh!
Yeah,
Hunter
Johnson.
Johnson.
A little tight there, or rather loose.
Yeah, it looks like I'm going to go back and
tight with that low line, and that's what causes him to get loose.
I'm following along with him right now. I'm going to guess that he just hit that apron, and we're going to see it. And yep, and right there, and that's just enough. That's exactly what happened there.
Yeah, there's sometimes you don't need to stay down there. As I've seen a few of these guys, and I've done it myself a number of times, where it's like you stay down on that white line longer than you need to. You can kind of coast up at some point and get near the wall. That's the best line, is to coast up and get near the wall. Of course, sometimes you don't feel 100% comfortable. That wall this wall at Charlotte sneaks up on you, and it's something that, again, Charlotte being one of these tracks that everyone races at from rookie stocks on. Even in the rookie stocks, that was always a thing. Late in the race, those rookie stock races were what, about 30 laps or whatever. You got around lap 25, and you really had to worry about coming out of turn 4 on those tires, slapping that turn 4 wall. And it's the same thing in these cars. I mean, it's just you want to get down as low as you can through the corner, but at some point you do have to start coming out.
Well,
and sometimes on older tires, it may be a better idea to just go on a further outside line, and then you can kind of angle and away from the wall when you're coming out.
Interestingly enough, with the heat and with the different strategies that everybody has here, I'm noticing that these leaders, these top 4 guys, we want to include Hunter Johnson, they haven't really wavered from the bottom quite as often, or quite as much, or as aggressively as I would expect. this top line to come in. Of course, lap 78 of 167. You can actually see here on the broadcast that rubber has, started to certainly lay down a little bit. And as this race progresses, I imagine people will be searching for that line. But for right now, everyone's really just stuck to the bottom here, which does make passing very, very difficult. Which is probably, attributing to why these guys are so spread out here.
Yeah, if you can stick to that low line, you can get a good run of speed. But at the same time, if you're coming out and you stay down there too long, that back end will come out on you and you'll get a little bit loose.
Exactly. No, and that's exactly it. The Beast of Charlotte, again, resurfaced in 2006. iRacing does an incredible job of replicating the fact that this is a 10-year-old surface at least, and again with all the hurricanes, with all the damage, all the weird weather that North Carolina gets, the track, of course, is in great condition, but it isn't without character now, I guess is what I maybe want to say. It certainly has a little bit of character, especially in these A cars that have so much power.
Oh yeah, these guys are definitely different. I did drive the B car and I drove the trucks this week as well, and this is definitely the car that is a beast to handle. It gets a little slick, much more slick.
Right. Watching Anthony Burrows here, he's starting to kind of chase down Wade Husted just a tad, pulling away from Hunter Johnson. With how far we into this, Martin, help me, please. With how far we are into this run, 22 laps to be exact, for most of us. Caden Honeycutt, he has 31 laps on his tires, it says. This is where you're going to see who is been a little bit better at managing that right front, those right sides. Left sides here, they do wear some, but they don't wear nearly as aggressively as the right front, and especially just the right sides in general. So we're going to see now Chad Presnall, Wade Husted, Anthony Burrows. Who is it that saved their stuff better in those first 20 laps of this current stint that we're on? And you can see them both getting loose on the exit floor.
Who saved their tires better and who likes the old tires more? Now, all these guys are pretty good on old tires. That was something that I learned earlier in the season. I had some really good races. Atlanta, that was a really hot track. And I had a good finish because I was able to blow past people on those longer runs just because I liked the old tires. I figured out how to drive it on those old tires and other people weren't. Now, these guys are all so talented that they can drive it on the old tires. Now it really comes down to how much have they worn those tires. It comes down to equipment. Well, and then trying to overcome, and then sometimes that skill overcoming that disadvantage.
Well, now one thing to think of is as Wade Husted and Anthony Burrows are starting to battle, how long do you battle a guy, especially when you're trying to conserve tires, because this does have the look of kind of a long green flag run. How long do you battle before you let the other guy go and try to save your equipment? Or do you pinch him down? Like, what kind of strategies do you think? We're seeing these guys fight pretty hard for the amount of wear that they have on these tires here, as Anthony Burrows is trying to look inside of Wade Husted. Wade Husted doesn't really appear to be in a huge hurry to give him that second place spot. He does pinch him down just a tad. Wow, pinches him down a lot, actually.
Hey, that's what you should. If you're battling for position, that's what you should be doing. I know some people don't like that. It's like that's exactly what we should be doing. You got to force that guy on the bottom. You have to drive that car. He's going to get loose. He's going to burn off a lot more tires trying to drive underneath you when you're not letting him coast back up.
Right. Another battle. What's that?
Go ahead.
I was going to say, another battle that I was trying to look at is Thomas Harmon trying to fend off John Theodore and Mike Springer.
Yeah.
Those guys did actually end up. They did get a little bit. They were pretty close. They're starting to get a little bit spread out here. But John Theodore hunting down Thomas Harmon, coming off that super loose episode that he had in front of, I believe it was Hunter Johnson. Now it's kind of faded just a little bit here, as he was one of those guys he's one of the few guys that was keeping up with the leaders, and now he has faded back dramatically here. John Theodore looking inside.
It looks like he's gonna give Theodore room. I don't think he wants to give it up easily, but it doesn't look like he's going to do anything. It's not going to really pinch him down at all here. He's going to take that outside line. And again, this is where I was talking about the outside line. The outside line here, see how he's able to stay with him? Theodore is able to gain a little bit, but then because he can't get all the way out to that wall, kind of, you know, Harmon's able to maintain the momentum and just come right out of it.
And Mike Springer is just sitting there like, hey, somebody move here so I can get through both of you.
Yeah. Well, I've been in Mike Springer's, I've been in that situation too. I've been in all three of these guys' positions, and that guy in the, you know, watching the two guys battle, sometimes you're like, oh, this is gonna get dicey. At some point, they're gonna hit each other and take me out.
Right.
You never know.
Ooh, little move there
yeah.
between Theodore.
Actually, at the end of, I think it was the end of the B car race I did. It's like the two guys in front of me are racing. They kind of door slammed each other, and they both split off in two different directions. I just sliced right through them and took, you know, 3 or 4 positions right that way for the, you know, right at the end of the race. And
Springer is looking inside here of John Theodore now. John Theodore, in an attempt to fight and get that position from Harmon, maybe put a little bit too much heat in his tires, and now these two are battling for position.
Kind of an update on our points situation for David Wellborn. He's got Chris James and Aaron James both out of the car. Oh, Caden Honeycutt coming on the radio. Let's see what just happened here. It looks like, yeah, it looks like David Wellborn.
Wellborn, Musil actually damaged there as we switched. Oh, Musil hard on the wall. That's gonna be caution.
Wow, that all started. Yeah, Wellborn got out of control coming out of turn 2. Slowed up a lot. That right in front of Honeycutt and Musil. Then going into turn 3 and turn 4, I was going into replay now. Yeah, Wellborn gets into the wall, and then Musil gets in the wall. Both of them unable to turn their cars going into turn 3 and 4. And Musil, yeah, he ends up head on with the wall and collecting Joshua Wakefield.
This is what we're watching from Sam Niederhelm.
Sam Niederhelm and Joshua.
Oh, and he had nowhere to go. Dustin Musil, in an attempt to save it, just cut right up into the track here. Wow, there was a lot of action there just for a second.
Yeah, I thought that all started with David Wellborn, but really it didn't. I mean, Wellborn did kind of slow up Musil, but then going into that next turn, both him and Musil run into the wall. Wellborn is able to, you know, save it and keep going, and Musil, you know, eats it right into the wall and collects Wakefield and Niederhelm.
Yeah, we're riding with Musil now here, and I kind of want to hear, as soon as he didn't even get back on the throttle, just with all that tire wear. I mean, he was trying to play with the brake and everything, and there was just nothing that he could do to control that car. And unfortunate for Wellborn, but looking at his car here, not an incredible amount of damage, and again, with those other two drivers that he's fighting in pit road already, all he really has to do is finish this race. And I guess that bonus point that he has now is looking a little bit more and more important, as I don't know how many more positions he's going to be able to gain with that right side damage that he has.
Yeah, but his damage, I think, is going to be less than Joshua Wakefield. Again, he's bad. Aaron James is out. Chris James is out. So Wellborn is going to get into the cut now. But now he's battling with Wakefield and Musil. Now Musil's got a little bit of damage there.
Yeah.
Wakefield just got a bunch of damage there from that. And Wellborn, I think, out of all 4 of those cars really involved in that whole sequence of events, Honeycutt got no damage. Honeycutt got by. He did get kind of slowed up by Wellborn sliding in front. But out of the 4 cars that got damaged, I think Wellborn got the least amount of damage. He didn't run into another car. He just kind of ate that wall a little bit, bent it up a little bit. But I think he should be able to get. Yeah, I mean, he's got the damage. Reshapes a little bit of a crinkle kind of on that right side. It's not a ton. I'm going to look at. Well, we got Joshua Wakefield. But looking at Wakefield, actually, he's pretty. Well, he's got damage. The whole front end is kind of crinkled up.
Let's try to see if I can find a good... Yeah, we are looking at Wakefield now. That nose is pretty tore up. Let's look at Musil, also pretty tore up. But then again...
Musil went onto the wall head on.
But David Wellborn, he's the only driver that didn't make contact with another car. He just hit the wall and then went about his business, where Wakefield, Musil, and all those guys, and especially Sam Niederhelm, who of all the drivers was just there, and it was just unfortunate timing for him. But point being that David Wellborn got the least amount of damage, and he'll be able to carry on just fine. I think he'll be great.
Well, I know Honeycutt is getting incredibly frustrated at this point. He's just had a day where he's been collected, it seems, in everything, and then almost there gets collected where Dave Wellborn has issues in front of him, and then comes sliding up in front of the track, in front of him, going way slower. I believe Honeycutt was involved with Chris James being right in front of him, going really slow. So Honeycutt has been having it's been a rough day, starting from the back of the field, trying to work through, put himself sort of in that position, but has also been catching no luck at all.
Right. I was going to try to bring in David Wellborn, but he's back down in the pits. We're going to allow him to just concentrate on his race here. Several drivers still in the pits, but Anthony Burrows wins that wins the battle off pit road. But Chad Presnall, who was our leader, he's back now in 9th. I imagine that's going to be a speeding penalty that happened to Chad Presnall. So once again, as we talked about earlier, he's going to have to fight his way through traffic, as he often does, and hopefully he's able to do so and not incur any damage, as we've seen some of the other guys that have fallen to the back haven't been quite as lucky.
It is a small field, though, so 30 cars he's working through. He's, what, 8 cars ahead of him?
Correct, yeah. Well, as we are set to go green here, Martin, lap 94 of 167. Not quite there. There is one more pit stop that is going to be needed, but we'll see what happens now as these guys get bunched up again. We've seen great battles on these top guys. Hunter Johnson could be trying to be one of those guys that gets aggressive here.
Yeah, he got up into the bumper of Anthony Burrows. So did Thomas Harmon getting into the bumper of Wade Hustad, and kind of gives Burrows a nice jump. Both of them kind of being a little, Harmon and Johnson kind of anticipating Wade Hustad not getting the greatest jump. But now he slips to the inside. Hunter Johnson had that second place position for a moment, and now it's going to go back to Wade Hustad.
Yeah, Thomas Harmon. Yeah, he's
put his nose in there,
trying to sneak in there before Hunter Johnson closes the door, but he is not able to make it. Behind him, though, John Theodore trying to shake it up here a bit, as he's back now into the top 5, which is where he was before that situation with the yellow flag and him pitting, and Harmon looking inside of Hunter Johnson here. And crossover. Drives it in just a little bit too deep.
3 wide between Presnall, Wright, and Mullins, and Wright actually...
Mullins is gone. Mullins is gone. That's a caution. That's got to be a caution. No caution. Wow. Very interesting here. Let's take a replay of that. Oh, heading into turn 3 wide. Nobody gives. No driver gives up. They're very content riding 3 wide here. And David Wright gets right down into Mullins, just gives them a little bit of a smooch. And as we talked about with losing control here, Mullins, that will end his competitive day. Ouch. That also gives one more spot to David Wellborn as we'll move back up here to the front. Very unfortunate, 3 wide at Charlotte. Of course, there's room to do it. Not necessarily meaning that it should be done, though.
Yeah, now there's a big gap between Presnall and Wright after going 3 wide there. It kind of really spread out.
But Presnall,
he's
able to get away with no. He didn't get any damage from it. I don't even think David Wright got very much damage from that either.
No, it was just kind of a bump. It was just kind of a. It wasn't.
It's interesting. It's very interesting.
Tempers are really flaring.
It's very interesting because I do recall that John Mullins and David Wright are actually teammates, so you would expect a little bit more give and take here, considering we had almost 70 laps to go at that point in time. Caden Honeycutt right here battling Mike Springer. Hilariously enough, Caden Honeycutt, the amount of damage that he has, it just really shows off his skill. We'll see what happens once the freshness wears off his tires, but as of right now, he's really trying to be aggressive.
Yeah, he was a lap down. He's all the way back up to 7th. So he's we know he's a good driver. And like I'm just looking at the standings and looking at Burrows. It's like, is anyone ever going to catch Burrows? And again, Hustad's close, and it is closer this season than last. But Burrows still has this. It just seems head and shoulders above everyone else still. And I'm wondering, again, we keep talking about next year. Me and Branch talk about this a lot during the broadcast. Next year, we are looking forward to this. These guys,
Caden
all being back
Honeycutt,
for a
Joseph
second
Held,
season.
myself, actually, I'll be running A's next year. Not to say that I'm competitive, but I'll be there.
We'll see some of those guys like Joseph Held and Eli Hinton hopefully will come back full time, and Alec Martinez and Honeycutt, guys that are not in this playoff picture right now, but I think consistently coming through the season are going to push Anthony Burrows even further. And early on in the season, there was a few times where Burrows didn't show up to a few races, and it was like, oh, is he not showing up because the competition is getting better and he doesn't like that? But then he came out and he rattled off 10 wins. So,
right.
Not the same percentage as last year. Again, last season was a shorter season, but still putting up 10 wins, still, every race top 5. He didn't have a single race where he wasn't in the top 5.
He actually, top 5, and that was one of the interesting stats that I saw before this race, Martin, is that I saw in 24 attempted races, he has 24 top 5s, 24 top 10s, obviously, and that is just incredible. And, the battle between him and Wade, I mean, they could finish 1-2, but it just doesn't matter because of that huge advantage that Anthony Burrows had to start the playoffs. Getting all those wins. I mean, it's just, when you're starting so far back with as good of a driver as Wade Hustad is, and then he was able to kind of claw into that lead, and then he had a very unfortunate Richmond.
Yeah, he actually was I think it was within 2 points, if I'm not mistaken. I might be mistaken about that, how close it was, but it got really close after Hustad won the first race of the playoffs. And then, obviously last week he was, had a unfortunate incident, and that cost him that advantage he also had over Jonathan Schwartz, because he had 3 more wins than Jonathan Schwartz, and suddenly that gap is now closed, and Burrows is now pulling away from the rest of the field. Hustad was right with Burrows actually after week 1 of this, or round 1, or race 1 of this first round of the playoffs. I guess that's how you want to say it. And then last week, that incident cost him and put him back sort of with the rest of the guys, and then there's Burrows. And I know there's some people criticize it that we talk about Burrows so much, but he he's got 10 wins. You look at again, I compare it to real life NASCAR. They talk about Truex and they talk about Harvick and they talk about Busch. Those are the guys.
And I haven't watched NASCAR so much recently because I kind of lost interest when my favorite driver retired. But when my favorite driver was racing, the cream of the crop was Jimmy Johnson. As far as my generation goes, I'm 30 years old. I've been watching NASCAR, since they were riding, since they were driving Tauruses when the Taurus first came out in year 2000, I think it was. Burrows gets a little bit loose there, but anyway.
Yeah, Honeycutt hit the wall coming out too.
Jimmy Johnson, he's a 7-time champion. How often do you think they talk about him every race, no matter whether he's in first or 20th or 2 laps down or anything? You're going to talk about the champ, and right now, with Eric Wolff being pulling out of contention, there is no defending champion. But you could say it would be Burrows, obviously, with Eric Wolff not being here, because I believe he was the one who finished second last season. So,
and I'm hoping Eric Wolff can come back next season. The schedule will allow him to race the whole season, because that's a great 1-2 punch. And obviously, you got all these new guys. How many rookies do we have running this playoffs? 6, 7, 8, 9 rookies in the top 16 in this playoffs. Out of that 16 are rookies.
Right. And
next season they won't be. Next season they'll have this season under their belt, and they'll be regulars. And you'll also have guys like Joseph Held and Eli Hinton, Martinez, and Honeycutt. Edward Birch Jr. I know showed up a few times. Some of these guys, that I think if they're willing to commit to come the whole season or enough races, they're going to be right there battling for a championship as well.
Well, I tell you what, while we were talking there, I was kind of showing a replay here of Thomas Harmon. He was leading the pack, in third place. Touched that apron just a little bit, as we saw from another driver earlier, and actually ended up dropping 3 positions. So
you see a lot of stuff. Honeycutt he just got loose, or just kind of, and he just fell back really fast just now. Harmon now coming on the inside, and Hunter Johnson coming right up on his rear end, along with Chad Fresnel. So these guys are this group of 6 cars. You see Springer and Theodore have now kind of separated from this now pack of 4 back there, but they were all on top of each other. Now Hunter Johnson and Chad Presnell have caught up. As Honeycutt's having a few issues, and he hit the wall a couple laps earlier.
Well, look at him.
Yeah.
You use your eyeballs. Holy cow! The fact that he is where he is with, I believe that is absolutely no grill. That is incredible. But at some point, no matter how good you are, I mean, you know he's pushing that car to the absolute max to try to compensate for all that damage. And at some point, Chad Presnell, who was just the fastest, he was the leader of this race, the fastest person on the track. Yeah, you're going to catch him and he's going to pass him, and now he's kind of, Caden Honeycutt's kind of bottled him up a little bit. Just because.
This shows how much I've been paying attention. It's like they're battling for 5th place here, and that Theodore and Springer in 3rd and 4th. I didn't even realize that we were that close to the leaders.
Yeah, no, then that's
we were a little bit further back.
That's what happened when Thomas Harmon hit that apron. That allowed Theodore and Springer to get right past him. Springer rebounding very nicely. Theodore both from having to come through the back of the pack here. But Caden Honeycutt, wow, I am impressed with how he's driving it. But that being said, at some point when you're driving a Whelen modified versus these stock cars, at some point I feel like you must feel obligated to pull over or something, because clearly he's stacking up these guys, and not because of, again, lack of skill. It's because he probably has about 6 minutes of damage on that car.
Well, sometimes the damage has an effect that it actually makes your car, makes that adjustment to your car. Yeah, I got a little bit of did he get into Johnson, or did Presnell get
No, he just got incredibly loose there is all.
Wow, yeah, see, there you go. You can see him, now he's going to easily probably give up this position to Harmon as well.
And we're on board with Harmon right now. He's going to get that run off that high side. And it's
kind of wiggling there as he comes out of the corner, trying to avoid Hunter Johnson, and they're
they are close. Whew. That is close.
As I was saying about the modified, is again, this is a fixed race. The track changes, dynamic track, so the temperature changes, rubber gets laid down, all those things, but the cars can't be adjusted.
Correct.
And so,
so you can't compensate.
Sometimes damage actually acts almost like adjusting a track bar or changing a tire pressure or whatever. And sometimes getting a certain damage in a certain spot on your car actually helps you with being loose or tight.
I'm torn here. We have 2 battles here. One battle for 3rd and 4th, and just behind them, all 4 of these cars just duking it out. We will maintain this battle between Mike Springer and John Theodore, at least for the time being.
Yeah, I'm watching in blimp mode, so I can kind of see it all happening at the same time.
You know what? It's not a bad idea. Let's do that.
That might be the way to go. At this point, just with the way they're battling all right now. Well, now, just as we say that, they kind of single filed. But I think Springer is going to make another move here. Yeah, he's going to get close to the bumper. Gaining a little speed. Going to the outside. Now he's going to start taking that outside line, looks like Springer. That's something the Springers like to do.
Right. No, exactly. And he's going to get this crossover here.
Line.
Oh, he almost had it. Seemed like he really had that huge momentum boost coming off of that turn there. But
yeah, we see that gap between Presnell and Johnson has narrowed again. And Presnell is now going to sneak on the inside here, going through the tri-oval, side by side.
And that will put Presnell inside the top 5 for the first time since losing it on pit road there. Well, again, to what I assume was a speeding penalty. And just can't quite make it.
Johnson's able to get right back in front of him.
I wonder with the rubber being laid down, how loose that inside line. Oh, a tap!
Whoa,
a tap! What a save! Save it!
Can he save it?
No, he does not.
He's gonna get. And Caden
Honeycutt hits him because why not?
No yellow flag though. No yellow flag.
No, there's going to be.
Oh, there it is. Finally comes out.
We are going to take a close look at that replay here, and we're going to go on board with Hunter Johnson there. Listen to this as he tries to save this from his tap.
Yeah, he's just sideways. I'm going to go in and look at where he's turned that wheel, because I think you want to be trying to turn that wheel right. I'm not sure.
He almost had that. We were listening to his throttle control. Actually, I'm going to do it one more time, except this time I'm going to turn up the volume again.
Yeah, he actually had that wheel turn completely right, trying to, you know, just counteract that turn, but no avail.
We're going to listen to Hunter Johnson's throttle. Oh, and you could hear it. He was so close. Great. Even though he didn't get the save, he earned respect in my book. That was close. Very, very close to being a save.
He hung on to it for a while, and I think he hung on to it to the point where he was able to get out of the way, too, because when he did finally spin out, the only car that tagged him was, of course, Caden Honeycutt.
Of course, because why not?
That's his luck. He seems to have my luck today, where he's just hitting everything on the track.
Now we're going to go on board with Chad Fresnel here.
Yeah, that was close. Now, I know people are going to say, oh, that was netcode, but it's so close that it's... Yeah, it is probably netcode, but in reality, you're even pushing the air at that point.
Right.
Yeah, because you're so...
Now we are on the nose of Chad Fresnel here as he just gives him just a little bit of a bump here. Oh, look at that. Incredible shot. What an incredible shot there.
You just see him just holding on to it. Yeah, and the fact is there's just really nothing Hunter could have done there, because he had. I mean, if you go in the cockpit, you can see the wheel is turned completely to the right, and it finally just snaps and goes completely left, even though the wheel's turned completely to the right.
And it looked like Thomas Harmon was to the outside of Caden Honeycutt there. Caden Honeycutt kind of hit the apron, which didn't allow him to have the most control of his car there, but. Hey, what's another 20 seconds of damage? What, you know, especially considering he doesn't have a nose.
There's not that much on the front of that car anyway that he hit it with, so.
Right. At some point, he's going to start hitting the head gasket on some of these cars here if he makes any more contact.
Yeah, that's exactly what it was. Exactly what it was. He couldn't correct at all because he was kind of.
He was pinched
right on that line.
Pinched down on the apron, and of course he's working with half a car here. So what are you going to do?
All right, so let's see. What do we got now? Burroughs, Husted still up front. John Theodore still in third. Chad Fresnel, though, takes fourth away from Mike Springer. And right behind them, Thomas Harmon, and then Caden Honeycutt. So the big loser there is Hunter Johnson, but he drops only back to 10th.
And luckily, it's not like he gained a lot of, you know, he didn't inherit a ton of damage from that. Kind of what we saw from some of the other spins. Not a ton of damage there, but enough to maybe just irritate him a tad. But we're going to take a quick commercial break here, and we will be back in 60 seconds. This is DRL TV, and we are live. Thank you. And we are back with DRL TV here live again, lap 123 and 167, getting ready to go green here. And what a race it's been so far. These leaders, given great battles, not in just first and second, but third, the top five everywhere. And Caden Honeycutt, the story of the race for me, still persevering with that god awful ugly car now. We'll see what he can do here as we have the green flag now.
Ooh, a little bit of a David Wright had a little bit of an issue on the start, slows down David Wellborn. But yeah, everyone out there, everyone on the track with the exception of Caden Honeycutt are playoff drivers now, so no excuses. No excuses.
Look at the pressure that Wade
non-playoff
Houston
driver took me out. Well,
yeah,
right on him. And Presnell right there, back in 3rd place.
Yeah, Presnell made his way back up, and we'll see what he can do with these guys now, because he's back to where he was at the beginning of this race, which was 3rd, and then he was able to actually pass them both and see what he could do in the lead here as he closes right up on Wade Hustad.
Yeah, John Theodore and Mike Springer, 4th and 5th, putting themselves in positions to maybe steal a win if something happens to those top 3 guys.
Now, I'm going to pull up a sheet here. This is called the unofficial results, but this shows laps led. And again, this is important because of bonus points. Burrows leads 51 laps. Chad Presnell 34. Wade Hustad only 8. So that is another point on the line here. Right now it's basically Chad Presnell. Is really the only person that could actually get that bonus point from Anthony Burrows right now, as Wade Hustad would have to make up too many laps. But just another thing to keep in mind when it comes to bonus points and points as we are approaching the end of this elimination race here. Mike Springer is trying to make a move here on his good old buddy John Theodore, as these guys have just been duking it out for most of this race. John Theodore doing that little diamond technique as he'll get a great run on exit. Mike Springer just behind him. Thomas Harmon kind of ducks down. I believe he's in front of Hunter Johnson here. Yeah, and he is. Otherwise, it's been kind of a tame restart, if you will.
And at this point, David Wellborn kind of losing the rest of the field, but running 10th. Just needs to finish the race. Don't try to do anything too fancy. Don't wreck the car.
Look at this beautiful machine that I'm currently highlighting. Caden Honeycutt. You can really see the camber in that vehicle, Martin. Look at that. My goodness, how is he still on the track? If that was me, I would have quit this race probably 40 minutes ago. But here he is persevering.
Yeah, he's been getting kind of heated. I mean, he threw an apology out there because he's been kind of coming over the mic, kind of just freaking out over getting taken out. Yeah, he's been involved in probably 5 of these instances. Yeah, Wade Hustad right on the bumper, kind of.
Yeah, he's pushing hard now. You can tell. If this were to go green the rest of the way, I mean, this is the race here. There's no need for an additional pit stop for fuel. Again, they would already want tires at this point by now if they could. Just a few laps into this stint here. But if this goes green, I mean, this is your battle right now. This is going to be where the aggressive moves start to happen, because if you let Burrows get away, race is over, and Wade Hustad cannot afford any more losses, as there's a little bit of a block there by Burrows. Wade Hustad looking inside. Ooh, side by side, that is so close. Look at this battle here. Wade Hustad hit that apron. Woohoo, just a bit. He's able to save it. What a good driver. That allows Chad Presnell to kind of catch back into this little lead pack here. Even in that little spin, Martin, not that little spin, was that little shimmy, I guess if you want to call it that. Just imagine the heat buildup on Wade Hustad's tires, so now he has to waste time kind of cooling off his tires. That way he can charge again. So just that one little mistake potentially could cost him 3 or 4 laps, of an opportunity to battle and charge here and be aggressive. Looking here at Wade Hustad as he is again following closely to Anthony Burrows, trying to catch back up from that slight little mental error as he had hit the white line on the exit of 4. Do you think Wade has anything for Burrows? He has Burrows has led the most laps so far. What do you think is going through Wade Hustad's mind right now, knowing that if he loses or if he allows Anthony Burrows to win this race, I mean, that's just another hurdle he's going to have to climb come Homestead time.
Well, he's hanging with them, and he just gained a bunch of time right there. but he also might have burned off the tires. He got a little bit loose coming out. Yeah, he's driving the wheels off, trying to catch Burrows and put pressure on Burrows, because I think that is the key, is that if you can put pressure on Burrows and if you can get on his outside and make him burn his tires as well, trying to fight you off.
And speaking of
fight,
yeah, speaking of fight, looking back here for this battle for 4th and 5th.
right there. Springer right on Theodore. Yeah, Springer kind of sandwiched between 2 John Theodore paint schemes there, Corey Bush schemes.
Looks
John
like
Theodore is the one with the red playoff stripes on it, though. The other one is Caden Honeycutt.
Caden Honeycutt, yeah, he's the one that's missing half of his car.
He's still putting on an impressive performance after having just a rough race, starting with a black flag, then getting involved, and I think has to be at least 5 incidents by now.
Right. No, exactly. And just think about it. At the end of this race, if some of these drivers go back and watch this broadcast, talk about putting the rest of these drivers on notice. Caden Honeycutt, he's just telling these drivers, hey, you know what? I don't care if I have half of a car. I'm going to come in here and get a top 5 anyway. And that is just incredible to me. And again, talking about what you and Mr. Ryan Branch talk about often is just wait till next year when he's eligible for points. And we've already seen the great battles. Oh, Theodore, super loose. We've seen the great we've seen the great battles that Caden Honeycutt has been able to put on these guys. More notably, between he and Anthony Burrows at New Hampshire, I remember that was one of the last broadcasts that I did before Ryan Branch was able to come back and take over his duties on Tuesday nights. And incredible racing by that gentleman there. And Hunter Johnson is now caught up to John Theodore after that little wiggle of his.
Yeah, John Theodore came over the radio and he's like, I don't know how that car is still running. Talking about that 37 machine there.
Now, as this battle for 6th continues, let's go back up front here and look at Anthony Burrows, Wade Hustad. I mean, is somebody saving? Are they both giving everything they got? I guess we'll find out here in a couple laps. Again, still 30 laps to go here, just about, and a lot of tire is going to be needed to finish this race off. So I anticipate the aggression will tune up a bit, but at some point you still have to save. And that might be what Chad Presnall is doing. He's not really in a situation where there's a lot of pressure. He's kind of in no man's land, following the leaders. No pressure from Mike Springer behind him. He can kind of just ride his own line. He's not forced to block down low like Burrows is. He's not forced to really do anything besides just exactly what he wants, and this could benefit him.
Well, you saw that Hearn there too. He kind of took that middle line. Didn't go down. He's not going down to the white line like Hustad and Burrows, and he's actually gaining. Look at it. He just really gained a ton of time there.
Yeah, what he's doing is he's entering high, letting it roll, and then he's getting in the throttle sooner with that little diamond apex, and he's been able to really, instead of having to get into the throttle later and kind of avoid that wall, he's just able to make a really excellent apex. He's brilliant driving.
He doesn't have to worry about the wall. Yeah, going in high, he doesn't have to worry about the wall coming out because he's coming out low. Almost.
He's coming out very low, and here he is doing it again. Excellent. And you can just see Wade Hustad kind of pulls up on exit, and Chad Presnall is super low. And look at the run he gets, and that's a battle for 2nd spot. But now Chad Presnall doesn't have the freedom of that line that he's been running here.
His teammate also cuts him some slack, or his teammate just doesn't have the tires to battle him. But yeah, that's exactly what I was saying. I mean, I experienced that in the NIS, is that later on in the run, I would go up in this kind of enter high, exit kind of low here, right about here. Ooh, Presnall gets a little bit of wiggle there. But you gain so much speed on those guys that are still going low, they're battling their tires, and you're kind of just coasting on the outside and actually able to get back on the gas a lot sooner than them. And I know during the truck race was the thing, I had these 2 guys that were running behind me, and they were saying I was holding them up. But every time I would try to let them by, they wouldn't be able to get by. The only way you could let them by is to hit your brakes and stop.
Right. Now looking at this battle between the teammates, it actually has benefited Anthony Burrows here just a bit. He's able to kind of push out a little bit of a lead here. And one thing that Wade Hustad might do is kind of tuck behind his teammate here and maybe copy his line. And that way maybe both of these guys can kind of charge up and end up pushing Anthony Burrows back to third if at all possible.
Yeah, Mike Springer just out on an island now, running in fourth. Behind him, he's got the two Corey Busch cars, Honeycutt and then John Theodore. And right behind them, Harmon's actually getting on the bumper of Hunter Johnson. This is a tight battle. Caden Honeycutt, who is not a playoff driver, but definitely a playoff caliber driver. Right in the middle of the mix with a modified car.
Right, and these four drive, and this is kind of right in the part of that run where Caden Honeycutt appears to have used up everything he's got in that car, and they kind of start stacking up behind him. If you remember that a couple runs ago, that's kind of what happened, and all of a sudden there was this huge cluster of cars battling it out, and then at some point there was a caution that came out as a result. But
that's the issue. Again, that some of these drivers behind them might start getting frustrated, but there's not much Honeycutt can really do besides like hit the brakes and stop to let you by, because wherever line he's running, you're just not able to get enough speed to get past him.
And Caden Honeycutt doesn't seem like the type of person who just hits his brakes and lets people by. No. So I don't see that happening here. Maybe
he's taking the high line. He was giving Theodore room. Now he kind of pinched him there. So Theodore is probably none too pleased about that little sequence right there.
Again, teammates battling out very, very hard. That's the third time we've seen potential contact between teammates, as Wade Hustad, Chad Pesnall did a couple laps ago, and then we also saw the dysfunctional Patriots race members, David Wright and John Mullins, make contact, and it ended up ruining John Mullins' race as he got all that contact.
Yeah, now we see Thomas Harmon going in.
Oh, that was close.
Wow. And the fact that he's not spinning out, but he had to kind of let off the gas there, he's going to drop back again, because if he had stayed on the gas, he would have definitely gone straight left into the inside wall with how hard he probably had to turn that wheel.
Now, if anyone's curious, we're watching this battle because Anthony Burrows has actually stretched out his lead considerable amount. All of a sudden, a lot there. What happened to Chad Presnall there? I'm gonna hit a replay here. All of a sudden, it went from 0.4.
What are you seeing?
Oh, it looks like through the trioval, Chad Presnall got so loose. We were talking about it earlier, how you can really just burn rubber through that whole trioval, and he lost 4 to 5 tenths, and that allowed Wade Hustad to get by him.
You start getting loose, you let off the gas, because you're gonna. I mean, that car is just, you have no control, and it's almost the worst feeling. Getting loose in the tri over here at Charlotte is the worst feeling getting loose coming out of 2 or 4, because you're going straight, you're going fast, and you literally have no control over going, turning again, because again, through the tri-oval, you do have to kind of turn. You're not just going straight, and as soon as you get a little bit loose, it's like, there you go, you're gone, and any little adjustment, and you're going through the grass or slamming that outside wall.
Harmon is around, actually. That's going to be a yellow flag. Wow. As soon as I went on Thomas Harmon, and he received a considerable amount of damage here. We're on board with Thomas Harmon here. We're going to go to blimp mode here and watch this battle between he and Hunter Johnson. Thomas Harmon checks up just a bit, kind of tries to do a crossover. Hunter Johnson hits that wall.
Yep, Johnson hits the wall coming out.
Oh, and just plasters that inside wall.
And that was good driving by Harmon to stay off him on the inside, and that's going to cost them both. I wonder if they're going to have any engine damage hitting the wall that hard.
I know Hunter Johnson backed up into it pretty good here. Again, let's watch another replay here of Hunter Johnson, and we're actually going to go in and looking back here to Thomas Harmon, and you can see how close it was entering turn 1. If the internet was being a little more sketchy, and that's kind of a nod to the netcode situation that you sometimes have, this spin would have happened much earlier with how close they were. And watch this hit here. Boom! My goodness. Ouch. One more look here. Thomas Harmon does try that crossover. Hunter Johnson gives him the space. Thomas Harmon gives him the space, but just a little bit of contact. That was barely any at all, and then they both just back up into that inside wall. Now, one thing I do want to pay attention to is this race off of pit road here, because this is going to be the race right here.
Yes, it will. It's interesting what you're hearing. We're hearing race control and the drivers right now talking about just how awful this set might be. Now, John Theodore saying he really likes this set. He feels really good out there. So we'll see what it is. I mean, they've got, what, 16 to go?
Something like that. And Wade Hustad will beat out Chad Presnell, but Anthony Burrows beats them both out. Caden Honeycutt beats him out as well. Hunter Johnson stayed out, and I bet you any money that's to get that extra bonus point, because he kind of knows the damage that he has now. So a pretty smart move by Mr. Hunter Johnson here. He also blocked Thomas Harmon from trying to do the same thing. So
well, this is a big thing. I mean, we're looking at the leaders right now: Burrows, Hustad, and Presnell. Those guys are top four. Those guys are kind of, you know, they're kind of in the driver's seat right now for getting to Homestead. Now, Schwartz is in a little bit of a dangerous position now because he's missed this race. But then you get to Mike Springer. Now, what happened to Mike Springer? He's kind of fallen back. Where is he? Yeah, he's all the way back now, and it's going to be fifth, all the way back. I don't know where. Yeah, I can't even see him.
Yeah,
he's shuffled around. He's actually now back to ninth.
Eighth right now because he just passed Hunter Johnson, who's pitting now. Yeah, interesting. Yeah. I'm not sure. Maybe I can. I'm not really going to attempt to try to go back and see. I tell you what. Maybe let's try to bring in Mike Springer and see kind of what happened there just now. Where is Mr. Mike Springer? Mike Springer is down here, and we'll move Mr. Mike Springer up here. Mike Springer, you got a copy, sir?
Yeah. How's it going?
Good. You were just running in the top 5 solidly. Kind of what happened there? It appears maybe a speeding penalty.
Nope. Did I hit the cone? It just said I had an unsafe pit entrance.
Oh, man, that's very unfortunate. Well,
yeah, I was in line with everybody. I don't know why I did that, but yeah, it gave me a speeding penalty earlier too in the race, and it didn't even put up a black flag or anything. I was out of the pits, and it penalized me earlier. So I don't know. I've been blinking a little bit. I don't know if that's causing it.
Well, either way, you've had a great run. Hopefully, you can carve back through the field, Mike. Great talk.
Well, I'm gonna be on it right now.
Great talking to you. Stay safe out there, buddy.
All right.
Yeah, I don't know what the issue is with him having an unsafe pit entrance. He's got about half a car, almost a whole car width between him and that orange commitment zone. Well, so I don't know what the unsafe entrance was for, because he looks perfectly fine.
Thomas Harmon is going to stay out. Very, very interesting move here. Martin Wenzel, pay attention to wheel spin on this restart from Mr. Thomas Harmon. But that's a very interesting move, trying to stay out here with 12 laps to go. I'm not sure with 33 laps on these tires exactly what's going on here. But you know what? It makes it interesting, so let's have at it. This could be a huge disadvantage to Wade Hustad if Thomas Harmon slips up on this and on this restart here. This could give Anthony Burrows and even Chad Presnell a huge lead depending on how Thomas Harmon handles this.
Well, guys we've been looking at through the late in this race have been Thomas Harmon, Hunter Johnson, John Theodore, Mike Springer. They're all right there in between that 5th to 9th place. They're in that next group that are going to be battling to get into the round of 8. And Thomas Harmon doesn't want to fall back here, and so he's like, I'm going to try to get this lap led. I'm going to take off here, and there's the wheel spin. Oh!
Memories of Texas flashing back.
Everyone gets by. Harmon goes to the back of the field.
That actually benefited Wade Hustad. What a move by Wade. We're going to do a quick instant replay here. Follow along with Wade Hustad in his cockpit. Wow, what a move. I wonder
surprisingly not too much chatter coming over the race chat over that. Did get a black flag for Anthony Burrows, but that was cleared because he just had to. There was nowhere for him to go. He had to kind of go with it.
Right. No, that was my next question. I wonder if there was any black flags for passing, under yellow or whatever. But this gives Wade Hustad, Anthony Burrows the lead, Caden Honeycutt third, Chad Presnell who I thought would benefit from that, actually ends up not benefiting from that. But look who's in top 5 here, Mr.
David Wright.
Mr. I'm just going to keep quiet the whole race, and then all of a sudden get a top 5 here at the end, Mr. David Wright.
Well, and then look right behind him, David Wellborn in 6th place. That is going to, I mean, even, I think even if Chris James, Dusty Musial, and those other guys were out there still, I mean, with that kind of where David Wellborn's running right now, and now he's dropping back quickly, but the fact that he's just out there, he's still running top 10, that's all good news for him to get some decent points, move into the next round, and then, again, restarting for another 3 races and working to get into that top 8.
And they get a little bit spread out here, and we saw that at the beginning of a run, Wade Hustad had no issues keeping up with Anthony Burrows. It wasn't until later in the run, you know, he kind of started pushing it, slipping up a little bit. So Wade Hustad, that move, that could have been the move of the race there, going 3 wide on that restart, anticipating Thomas Harmon's wheel spin. Ooh, we got Mike Springer and John Theodore going at it back here. Not surprising, as they've been doing that the whole race. Side by side here.
Well, and right now we see the battle is between Hustad and Burrows for this lead, for the win. Is anyone else going to win in the playoffs?
I mean, this
so far it's been these two.
Yeah, it's been these two. I thought Schwartz had an opportunity to make it our 3rd different winner. Looking at the points right now, Wade Hustad needs this win. He also needs Caden Honeycutt and Chad Presnell to pass him, ideally, but it doesn't look like that'll happen.
Well, and that's what Burrows has done all season. That was the same thing Wolf was doing all season in the races that he came, is that when he wasn't winning, he was finishing 2nd. And that's why he was able to get in on points, Eric Wolf, not having the participation requirement to have that win get him locked in, but he was able to get in on points. He was finishing 2nd 2nd or 3rd, basically every other race.
And looking at this lead, Wade Hustad's not giving up much. Caden Honeycutt's also not losing much. Again, that's going to be hilarious, the screenshots and stuff. But looking at David Wright here, this is the battle for position right now. As these two drivers, Springer and John Theodore, are both trying to get by David Wright for this top 5 here. Very, very good battle here so far. And if anyone's curious, the lead has not shrunk or really increased at all. Wade Hustad still leading by half a second. Caden Honeycutt, Chad Presnell behind.
Man, Mike's.
Well, just about 5 laps to go here. There's going to be a little less patience here, especially when you've been driving around the same driver for 160 laps. Basically,
yeah,
these two drivers here.
Wright, Theodore, and Springer, they were right on each other's bumpers going through that turn, and Springer almost took them all out. And here it goes again. Not as tight this time. Theodore gets a little bit of a run on Wright, but gonna stick in that 6th position.
This is a battle for 5th, 6th, and 7th. Chad Presnell 4th, Honeycutt 3rd. Ooh, John Theodore. Oh, you better watch out. Here's Springer.
Springer's got. Whoa.
Oh, he's in the grass.
So Wright's gonna let them go by. Oh.
I don't know if he's gonna let him do anything. He didn't have a choice.
Wow.
My goodness, good driving there.
I think he was out of control because Wright almost took out Springer there, coming out of the tri-oval.
Quick look back.
These are guys. These are 3 guys that they're in for the next round. Nothing that happens today is gonna bump them out, but they definitely don't want to. They don't want to lose too many positions because, yes, 3 races and they got to get into that top 8.
Now this is a battle again for 5th and 6th. Wade Hustad, who we will show here in just a second, out to a 0.8 of a second lead. Caden Honeycutt getting a little bit of pressure from Chad Presnell here. We will return. We'll return to that battle here in just a second as well. And that will be a battle for 3rd here between the Whelen Modified Corey Bush sponsored vehicle of Caden Honeycutt and the only slightly damaged vehicle of Chad Presnell.
Yeah, Presnell's getting quite a run. He was right up on the bumper that last lap, and now He's just trying to find the spot to go past.
Well, as we've seen with Hunter Johnson, Chad Presnell is not afraid to be aggressive and use that the chrome horn, if you will. And Caden Honeycutt does kind of get loose and give him that outside. As we see David Wright and Mike Springer both get loose there.
Oh,
what a tight battle. Oh, Caden Honeycutt. Ooh, shoo.
Oh, great driving by Honeycutt to, you know, not spin out. Staying low there.
But final lap here.
Lose that position.
Final lap here as we are showing you potentially our race winner, Wade Hustad here.
Thomas Harmon slow in the apron. I'm going to go back and see what happened to him here. Looks like...
And Wade Hustad exiting turn 4, and he will get his second win of these playoffs, which will help kind of tap into that lead of Anthony Burrows, but not by much because Anthony Burrows finishes second. Caden Honeycutt 4th. Mike Springer 6th. John Theodore does get that top 5. David Wellborn, by virtue of finishing 8th, will make it. He will be racing at Dover next week as a championship contender. Hunter Johnson finishing 9th. And as you mentioned, Thomas Harmon finishing 10th after restarting 1st.
Yeah, he was probably just driving slow because of those old tires, and that's why he was getting down the apron, just let the leaders all by with no trouble. That's what it was.
Looking at your race winner here, Mr. Wade Hustad. And watch him as he does his celebratory burnouts. I believe for the 5th time this season, if I'm not correct here, please correct me. 7th
win.
Lord have mercy, where have I been? Well,
5 regular season.
Wade Hustad.
Second for the playoffs.
He might have won the race, but he certainly didn't win that burnout challenge. That might have been the weakest thing I've ever seen. Wade, come on! Oh, he's going to do the Legends Oval. Good luck. What a great race by Wade Hustad, taking advantage of that late restart, and there we go. That's the burnouts I've gotten used to. That move of the race, Martin, that was incredible on that restart, going 3 wide. Incredible racing, not by just him, but Thomas Harmon to not come up into traffic, and Anthony Burrows to have the awareness to understand that Wade Hustad was right there. He could have turned down into him and not even know that he was there. So, great run by Wade Hustad. Great opportunity that he just did not pass up there, and that was absolutely outstanding. Well, I tell you what, let's interview a couple people here, Martin, and get out of here as we get ready for Dover next week. Wade Hustad, we'll pull in Wade Hustad here and see what he has to say about this race. Wade, you got a copy, sir?
Yeah, I do.
Well, the move of the race obviously is going to be what happened on that restart. We said it kind of before the restart happened. You know, watch out for wheel spin. I mean, kind of what was going through your mind there on that restart?
That I had to probably go on the outside of Harmon there. I knew it was probably going to be pretty messy. And honest to God, it happened so quick. I just kind of backed off a little bit from Harmon to kind of see what he was going to do. And he kind of wish-washy up and down. And I just split the difference. And I don't know if I got hit by behind, but I think I tagged Anthony a little bit. But I stayed in the gas and kept going. I mean, it was for the win. He had to go for it. So that was pretty awesome.
Well, it seemed like, especially on that this last run and then the run before, you had no issues keeping up with the speed of Anthony Burrows, 10, 15 laps. It seemed after that, though, you kind of petered out just a bit, maybe Burrows being a little bit better, maybe more conservative line saving his equipment. But, once you got that lead, you had to have been confident that you knew that it was going to take a lot for you to give up that win.
Yeah, we had a pretty good short-run car tonight. I kind of feel where I was falling off as I was probably hitting the apex a little too early and then rotating the car too much, especially in 3 and 4. And that's kind of where Anthony seemed like, to me, he was beating me. 1 and 2, I was pretty quick. But after I got that lead, I knew I just had to push for it and keep going, hopefully not wreck, which we got lucky tonight. But other than that, it was really hard to pass. Once you lost those rear tires, especially after 20, 30 laps, it was just really, really tough. So I could hang, and, towards the end there, Chad actually was trying a different line, and he kind of caught up to me, had a run. I let him go. I wanted him to get some bonus points and at least make an attempt at Anthony. He was definitely the car to beat tonight, but we had some good side-by-side action with Anthony, and he is one guy that you can really race hard with, but also very clean, and he's one hell of a gentleman, and he's always one guy I love racing with. So.
No, absolutely. I mean, you guys always put on a show. Now, as far as playoffs are concerned, as far as points are concerned, you did an excellent job of executing on that opportunity that you were given. But even though you won, the person that you're chasing down, who you gave a lot of points to last week, still finished second. So, mindset going into Dover, still, I imagine still being aggressive. Kind of. Do you have a game plan for these playoffs, or is it just one race at a time, one event at a time?
Right now, Homestead's kind of the goal. I mean, we just have to get to that point in time. So just kind of taking it stage by stage, or whatever the heck you call it. But
sure.
Knowing that we got locked in, that first race is pretty nice. But I just have that little demon on my shoulder saying, hey, you got to get as many bonus points as you can. So we were trying to get, most laps led tonight, which probably didn't happen. Anthony was top of the class tonight. But I think, our strategy is to try to be in that top 4 going into Homestead. And I don't know if there's points that transition over from the second to last round into the final as far as bonus points go. But at that race, we just got to be the top dog. We got to be the guy to beat that race.
Right. Well, it was a pleasure watching your race, Wade, and we will see you next week at Dover.
Yeah, thanks, Yeti.
Before you head out, if there's any shout-outs that you want to give, please do so. If not, get out of here.
I'll just go tonight. Yeah, thanks for what you guys do.
Thanks, Wade. Have a good one, buddy. If you want, maybe let's pull in Anthony Burrows, who actually is right down here. Let's pull him in. Anthony Burrows, you got a copy, sir?
Yeah, got you guys.
Well, it seemed like obviously you led the most laps. You were the car to beat, especially on the long run, as we were just speaking with Wade Hustad about. But late caution comes out. What were you thinking once you won that battle off pit road, but realized that there was another car out there still?
I'm honestly kind of shocked someone stayed out, especially after like a 40-lap run, and we still had like 10 laps to go. So I certainly wasn't expecting that, and I had a feeling something like that would happen off the restart. The tires already spin quite a bit, like even on new tires. I don't really know what's up with that, but so I got second place. Nothing to be too ashamed of, but the win's always nice too.
Yeah, I mean, you still got bonus points for leading the most laps. Again, bonus points at this point. I mean, you're just the person that's chasing you for the points lead won, but you were right behind him. So, as you just mentioned, you can't necessarily consider that a bad race. Martin, do you have any questions here for Mr. Anthony Burrows?
Not really. I mean, it's an incredible season. It just keeps going on. Top 5s every race. At this point, it looks like it's going to come down to a race between you and Hustad, and Presnell had a good showing today too. So I think it's going to be. I'm looking forward to Homestead. We'll see who else gets in there, but yeah, I mean, just great season so far.
Yeah, thank you. Definitely looking forward to Homestead if we can make it in. Battle with Wade, and that would be pretty cool. We always race pretty hard with each other when we're battling on track, so that would definitely be a blast.
Well, Anthony, it's always a pleasure to watch you. I mean, I just don't have questions for you anymore, buddy. I talk to you all the time. I remember there was an incident or an opportunity we had to interview. We were talking about what equipment you run with. So I'm gonna go ahead and just say I'm all questioned out, man. So if you have any shout outs, please do so.
Yeah, definitely shout out to Wade and Chad tonight. Nice, good hard racing at the front. It's definitely tough to pass, which is a little frustrating, but we raced each other pretty clean. Shout out to Caden. I saw he didn't even have a front bumper at the end of it. So got P4 out of that. So
we brought a lot of attention to that for sure. And one thing I did notice, or one thing I did make a note of is, I mean, what does that do to a driver like you when you know that if he's here next year for points, he can do that with that kind of car? I mean, what does that say to you? I mean, kind of putting the rest of these drivers on notice that this dude's for real.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I've never seen anything like that before, especially on a 1.5 miles. So, he's definitely. I'd say he'd be the one to beat next year if he races full time.
What?
That'd be fun.
But we're not there yet. We still have a year to finish, Anthony, and you are still top dog, man. So have a good race, and we will see you next week at Dover, buddy.
You too.
We will bring in Chad Presnall real quick, if possible. Chad Presnall, you got a copy, sir?
Yeah, I got you, boss.
It seemed like you had the car to beat, and we're not the only one to say that up until something happened on pit road that put you in the back of the pack, and then you kind of got into a situation with Hunter Johnson and stuff like that. Was that a speeding penalty that ended up kind of disrupting your night there?
No, I just slid the box and then was too far left as well. I mean, it just keeps killing me week in and week out. I mean, I nailed all the pit stops but that one, and that pretty much put me in a negative position for the rest of the night, and just kind of having to drive over my head, overdrive the tires, and all that mess. So
now, that's
kind of what happened there.
On that final restart, I really thought that you had a really good opportunity to take advantage of maybe a slower middle line or a slower inner line, but what happened was your teammate made just a delicious move and cut it 3 wide, and it actually ended up maybe hurting you a bit. You still finished third, of course, but it didn't really allow you to charge Burroughs or Hustad as I'm sure you would have wanted to. Did you once you going into that last restart, did you really have a car that could contend with those two?
We were about to put on a show for you, and it was basically going to be 10 hot laps and just nose to tail. And then, we see Harmon stayed out, and I've seen enough of that mess in official race to know what's about to incur. I'm just glad that we were able to all 3 finish, but I can't say too much. I did the same thing at Texas, so
and that's.
But it's certainly not the smartest move.
Yeah, no. As it happened, I yelled at Martin, and getting Texas flashbacks here. But you know what, Chad? You put on a show.
Texas is keeping me humble, man.
Right. You put on a show tonight. Regardless, I mean, we mentioned it in the broadcast. This is one of the few times we've actually seen you take the lead and just, you were running away with it. We've seen you obviously run up front. You've obviously have wins, but in the middle of a race, normally it is not when you put on the show. You wait till the end, but today you had something for them, but that one little mental error kind of cost you. But do you have any shout-outs here, Chad?
Yeah, just the Norm, the DRL crew, all the drivers. Wade, a big shout-out for scoring another win. It's kind of getting old. I think I might see if he can hand me one of these weeks, but yeah, Wade, and then just everybody for turning out and tuning in and all that good stuff, and sure there'll be a lot more good racing to come as the playoffs narrow down.
Awesome, Chad. Well, it's always a pleasure, man. We'll see you next week at Dover, buddy.
Yeah, y'all have a good evening.
David Wellborn, you got a copy, sir?
Yes, sir, I sure do.
Well, you ran the race that you needed to run. It wasn't as pretty as I'm sure you would have wanted, but you know what? You're in, and you're headed to Dover as a championship contender, man. How does that feel?
Well, it feels great, man, and these cigars are going to kill me. What it was is I went to light the cigar going down and just broke loose, man, and just drove. I should have known better to try to light a cigar in the tri-oval.
Not only will they kill you in real life, but also in the virtual world, David. This is a note to anyone watching: smoking's bad for you.
Yes, it sure is. But all in all, I had the night that I wanted. I really think if I had not wrecked the car like that, I probably would have got a top 5 or at least top 6 out of it. But all in all, I got what I wanted. I go to Dover. I can ride around, get to Talladega, and go for a win.
No, and that's exactly, I mean, you came in here with a perfect mindset, David. I mean, you watch enough of these races, you broadcast them enough, you understand, strategy and situational racing, and you did an excellent job executing tonight, except for one minor, the minor light of a cigar. You were one cigar light away from having top 5 here, buddy, but that's okay.
Hey, I'll take it any way I can get it.
Well, David, it was a pleasure watching, man, and we'll see you next week at Dover as a championship contender.
All right, well, I'm gonna get a quick shout out to all the DRL members, the drivers, and everything like that, and a quick shout out for ORN Networking. We're gonna be starting broadcasting in January for other leagues. So if you got a league that needs broadcasting, just check out ORN or /Wallbound at YouTube.
Awesome, David. You're a busy man, and you continue to get busier. I don't envy you.
I hear you.
All right, David.
Well, y'all have a great night, and it was a great race, gentlemen.
Yeah, no, it was a pleasure watching it, buddy.
All right, y'all have a great night now.
Yeah, you too, bud. Now, Martin, I mean, even though we had a smaller field, we got a really good show. Battles, especially around that top 5 area, the 3 leaders, is basically that top 3 the whole time. Is there anything of note here as we head into Dover?
I think Dover is going to be more exciting. I mean, Dover is short track, only a mile, and I'm hoping all these guys show up next week. I'm hoping a few more of our playoff drivers, Eric Johnson and Jonathan Schwartz, show up and hopefully get a bigger field. But 15 cars. I mean, there was a lot going on.
Right.
A lot of weird stuff.
Yep. And you know what? I'll do a little foreshadowing for you and Ryan next week. Turn 2 at Dover. That's really all I need to say. Yeah. Turn 2 at Dover. It's going to be beautiful.
Turn 2. Well, turn 4 also. Both those turns. I mean, we didn't see a ton of it today, but I'd be surprised if we get out of Dover without seeing at least one person completely ruin their engine coming out of turn 2 or turn 4 and nailing that inside wall.
Yeah, Dover is going to be extra special. Now, one thing I do want to say to anyone who's still watching, first of all, if you enjoyed what you saw tonight, DRL TV does at least 3 live broadcasts a week of 3 stock car series. Entering in the winter series, which drivers, please don't forget to register. We will also be having 3 live broadcasts a week. So if you like what you see, even with the interruptions that we had at the beginning of the race, please make sure you subscribe. That way you're notified anytime that we go live and give you these beautiful live broadcasts. Normally not myself, but it'll be Ryan Branch and Martin Wenzel normally. And also, again, just thank you for bearing with us as we sorted out the iRacing connection issues that were being broadcasted. Luckily, it didn't last too long, and we were able to power through and end up having a really good finish here.
There's only so much we can do.
Right. This has been the Charlotte 250. The next race, again, is Dover next week for the Cup Series here. The next broadcast will be David Wellborn, who just joined us, and Taylor Butcher Benjamin for tomorrow night's truck race. Another thing to make note of is these official results. We were talking about who leads the most laps here. Wade Hustad, Anthony Burrow, Chad Presnall. It was a fight, but Anthony Burrows does get that extra point here. And before we wrap up this broadcast, one last thing. We have a special guest here. Mr. Ryan Branch has joined us. Ryan Branch, how are you, sir?
Hey guys, I'm doing very well. Heck of a race tonight. Thank you, Getty, for stepping in the broadcast. Thanks to all the viewers for joining us this evening. I just wanted to pop in towards the end of this one and say thanks to all the drivers here in the league and all the viewers at home for tuning in. I had a unfortunate had to put the family pet down today, so I wasn't able to make the beginning of this broadcast. I didn't want to be ill prepared, so thank you again, Getty, for stepping into that.
Yeah, I have no issue stepping into a broadcast ill prepared. I do it every time.
Yeah, well, I can't say I'm always the most prepared, but I wouldn't have had any preparation tonight. I would have been stepping in at the last second, and I didn't want to do that to the viewers. So a few connection issues I know you had there at the beginning, but it worked out. Awesome race tonight. That was a pleasure to watch. I want to say awesome work by David Wellborn by getting into that next round of these playoffs. He's been one of those guys who sticks around and, somewhere around 15th position all season. These last few weeks, he's managed to get some top 10s and finds himself in the second round. And I think he's one of those guys. I've drafted with him at plate tracks in the past, and he can go sneak in a win at Talladega, man.
Oh no, he's he puts anytime there's an official iRacing week, he puts in a lot of time there. He understands what he needs to do to get to get a good finish, even if it's not a win, to get a good finish at Talladega. That's really all he needs to continue to climb up these standings and continue to potentially have a shot at Homestead at being one of the Final Four. There's no reason why he can't be. So yeah, huge shout out to him and also a fellow broadcaster. That's always special to see.
Yes, sir. And it'll be me and Martin back here with you guys next Tuesday night at Dover. I can't wait for that one. It's going to be exciting.
That's going to be fun to watch, and I'm glad that I'll be watching it because keeping up with action of just 15 guys here on a mile and a half, best of luck to both of you, Martin and Ryan, next week at Dover, as I had a great time filling in, but you know what? I have no issues watching instead, especially at such a crazy track like Dover. And maybe, if I get permission, I'll join the race or something. Who knows? But it was a great opportunity for me to come in and freshen up my broadcasting skills. And Ryan, Martin, it's always a pleasure to work next to you. As knowledgeable as you are, it was great. So, Ryan, while you're here, it's technically kind of an interview. You have any other shout-outs, buddy?
No, again, just big shout out to everyone who actually watches, man. We do this for the viewers. This broadcast isn't exactly the most viewed thing on YouTube. This game's not the most popular quote-unquote game on YouTube. It's a simulator. It's got a very small audience, but the guys who do tune in and the new viewers we get every week, we appreciate you guys watching. And then just all the work that everybody puts into the Dynasty Racing League. James will have these stats updated in 15 minutes, and everybody works so hard to make sure that everyone stays well informed and they can tune in and race their heart outs for a win like this. And somebody like Wellborn, who hasn't really felt like he stood a chance of winning this championship all season long. He showed up to every race. He finds himself in the second round now with a good chance to move on. And I just appreciate guys like that who just keep coming out every week and giving it their all, man. It's a absolute pleasure to be a part of.
No, absolutely, and it's I've only broadcasted a small percentage of this series and just overall, but it's also great to be part of the community that we have here for iRacing and DRL as well, especially considering the upturn that we're on. It's the league and the series has a lot of momentum, so it'll be great as we head into the winter series and also next season as well. But you know what, guys, for tonight, great broadcast. Ryan, Martin, thanks for joining us. Martin, do you have any notes to sign off on, buddy?
No, that's just gotta show up and watch tomorrow. Watch me and Branch try to race Charlotte tomorrow in the trucks.
Absolutely. So, yeah, the three of us will be involved in that race tomorrow in some capacity. Again, exciting race tonight. Everyone from everyone here at DRL TV, we say thank you very much. Please come back again, and we will see you next time.
Have a good one, everyone.